Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today we're reviewing King Kong 1976. This is part one of our King Kong marathon, which this weekend I was going to do another Godzilla marathon, but by the request of a subscriber, I decided, hey, let's do King Kong instead, because you have that King Kong versus Godzilla movie that's coming out soon. So this movie is directed by John Guillermin. Stars. Let me just check the cast here. Jeff Bridges as Jack Prescott, Charles Grodin as Fred Wilson, Jessica Lange as Dwan, or Dawn. I think it's pronounced Dawn, but like her name, she spelled it different because she wants to be an actress. You got John Randolph as Captain Ross, René Auberjonois. I don't know how to pronounce this guy. He's Quark from Deep Space Nine, and he was in The Patriot. As Bagley, who's like, I think he's a geologist or something. Julius Harris as Bone, Jack O'Halloran as Joe Perko, you got Dennis Fimble as Sunfish, Ed Lautner as Carnahan, who this guy, he was in episode of X-Files, the X-Files episode where this character played like an astronaut that was possessed by a space ghost that was trying to sabotage NASA's space missions. That's why, NASA's space missions suck. It's because of space ghosts, not because it's a whole big scam. Also, John Lone plays a Chinese cook in this movie. I don't even think they give him any lines. John Lone, who played like Genghis Khan in the 1994 Shadow movie. Oh, and he was in like Rush Hour too. He's in a bunch of shit. Yeah, so this movie, it's basically a remake of the original King Kong movie. This time produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who's like this Italian film producer who was responsible for bringing like American stars in like Italian westerns, right? Like I think he produced a lot of the Sergio Leone movies. I would have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's true because like he has a character based off him in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which for some reason like he's like you had like Al Pacino playing this Jewish producer. So I don't know if Dino De Laurentiis is secretly Jewish, but like I don't know. There's a funny story to this movie. Apparently, what's her name? Oh fuck. Let me double check. Yeah, apparently Meryl Streep was supposed to play Jessica Lange's part in the movie, but like Dino De Laurentiis and his son was interviewing her, right? And like Dino's son was like, she's too ugly for the role, right? And he said this in Italian, right? Not knowing that what's her name, Meryl Streep, also knew Italian, so was super offended by that. Which is like, to be honest, Meryl Streep not exactly hot back then. It's not even hot now. She aged fine. She aged whole lot better than like Jessica Lange, which is like, this is the only fucking thing I've ever seen Jessica Lange in where she's kind of hot. Like I don't know, dude. Like she aged like super poorly, but that if somebody ages normally in Hollywood, it means they're probably not part of the Satanist cabal. They're not like sacrificing babies and like using their blood to keep themselves young or some shit. So the story for this movie, instead of like an expedition going to Skull Island to kidnap King Kong, you have this expedition by Fred Wilson onto this undiscovered island that's constantly covered in fog, which he thinks has oil on there for like whatever reason, right? Something about like oil, like the vapors causing all the islands being shrouded in fog is caused by like oil or some shit. That's what I don't know. They had some explanation in the beginning of the movie. So like he has this big ass ship going on this island to find oil. Jack Prescott bribes his way onto the harbor, sneaks on the ship as Fred Wilson, who's played by Charles Grodin, who you'll know from the Beethoven '90s movie, which also had what's his name from X-Files in it, the guy who plays Mulder. Fuck, David Duchovny. Yeah, he plays like a random guy in that movie. So you have your second X-Files tie-in. There's 6 degrees. Yeah, as he's explained their mission or whatever, Jack Prescott, played by Jeff Bridges, explains to them like, oh, like there's a giant ape that lives on that island, right? And like, you know, Fred Wilson's like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing on this ship? Are you an industrial spy? Are you working for Shell or like the other fucking oil companies? Because yeah, the oil company that Fred Wilson works for is literally called Pet Rocks, like, but with an X instead of, you know, CK, which is like really stupid name. I was supposed to check to see if that was a real company, but let's check to see if it's a real company. I don't think it is. Holy shit, Pet Rocks is a real company. Oh, it's an oil and gas company. Oh shit. Huh. I guess it was a real company. Whatever, so they go on to the island. But before that, they get a distress call from some yacht, right? And they find this beautiful woman on a raft, who's Jessica Lange's character Dawn, who was on this yacht because they were going to go film like a movie in some like Asian country, right? Because this island's in Asia, right? So she tags along. She goes on the expedition. They find some natives performing. The natives being all black, by the way, which I kind of thought that was weird considering they're in like, you know, Asia, right? So black people are on a continent, so it's like are all on the same continent. So how are these black people on this random island in like Asia, separated by a massive ocean? Who knows, right? But you know, I guess in the original movie they had like, you know, black people, so they have to have black people here, right? Which, you know, apparently I heard this. I don't know if this is true, but the whole like King Kong is like original movie was social commentary and why, like, you know, on the black situation in America, because, you know, you have like King Kong being forcibly taken from his homeland and taken back to America. That's supposed to be an analogy for like black people, so I don't know what the fuck the story, like the metaphor, is supposed to mean. Is it good? So it's okay. It's a bad thing we took them from their homeland, right? But like, are you saying black people, we should take black people back to Africa? Like, I don't know what you mean. What the metaphor is supposed to be about? If it's true, I don't know. I heard it from somewhere. Like, I think it was in like. Didn't they say that in the fucking, like, they're playing like a drinking game about movies in like fucking Inglourious Bastards? Didn't they talk about King Kong? I don't fucking know. But yeah, so like, yeah, the natives are performing some kind of ritual where they're gonna sacrifice this girl to King Kong. They have like a wig made out of straw. They see the blonde girl with the expedition. They tried to trade the blonde girl for like a bunch of their females. That they our guys tell them, fuck off. We're not gonna trade our girl for your girls. You know, we're not into the whole slavery thing. So they go back to the ship. The natives sneak on the ship, kidnap the blonde girl, sacrifice her to Kong. Kong keeps her as a pet. They go after the girl. Fred Wilson and his geologist, played by Quark from, isn't it Quark or Quark? No, Quark was the Ferengi guy, right? Oh fuck. Whatever. The guy, the changeling character, from Deep Space Nine tells him, "Hey, that oil on that island, it's like 10,000 years away from being like oil we can use in like refineries and shit." So it's like no good. So he decides, well, fuck, I'm screwed. The only way I can save this if I kidnap the King Kong, and we'll do like some kind of circus or whatever. So they do that. King Kong obviously gets goes on a rampage, escapes, goes on a rampage, gets killed by helicopters, and that's the end of the movie. So this movie obviously has anti-environment, like, you know, sentiments. Not anti-environment, pro-environment, like, you know, it's like hippie bullshit. Like, you know, Fred Wilson even calls Jeff Bridges a hippie at one point. Like, Jeff Bridges calls Fred Wilson, you're an environmental rapist. So the special effects in the movie I thought were good for the time. Apparently they made a 40-foot mechanical King Kong, and then for close-ups and acting scenes they had like Rick, the makeup guy, Rick Baker, in like a Kong costume. Which, you know, a lot of the facial expressions King Kong would make are, there were two facial expressions. They were angry and scary, and then, like, you know, very pervy and creepy. Like, there's a scene where, like, after King Kong escapes, like, Jessica Lange's character's hiding out in, like, a bar, and, like, King Kong's massive hand goes through the door, and then, like, she sees, like, King Kong looking at her through a window, and he looks very rapey. There's, like, a scene where he has her in her hand, and, like, using his finger, he's, like, feeling her up and shit, like, which I don't know, I thought was funny. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not a huge King Kong fan, but watching this, I kind of get why people love this movie. You have, like, the creepy Italian perverted shit. You have the great cast in the movie. The special effects were good. When, like, King Kong first goes on a rampage, there's, like, this massive audience, right? They probably should have done, what's it called, like, dress rehearsal or some shit, where you perform your stupid show without an audience. Let's see how it goes. But, like, yeah, King Kong escapes, and there's a massive crowd trying to run away. King Kong, like, crushes people under his foot, and, like, you just have these, as he's walking by, you have these clumps of, like, crushed people screaming and shit. So, because, like, obviously some of them were probably still alive, but mixed in with the corpses. Would have been nice if we got, like, a close-up of that. If it was a Brian Yuzna movie, we probably would have. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Yeah, there's some blood effects. There's a scene where King Kong, when they're still on the island, King Kong defends Jessica Lange's character from a giant snake, and just, like, tears the snake's head apart by grabbing each jaw. Which I thought was cool, but at the same time, it made me think, is there a chance they replaced the gore looked a little too realistic? And I know, like, in, like, 70s movies, and especially in Italian movies, they don't shy away from killing animals on screen, right? Even in Hollywood, they didn't have, like, a problem with that. So, like, sometimes I wonder, did they kill, like, an actual snake? Because the gore effects looked really a little bit too realistic, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm giving the movie, I would say it's like, oh, I forgot to mention, it's like over 2 hours. I think it's over 2 hours long. Let me double check. Okay. Yeah, it did. Holy shit, only has like a like 5.9 out of 10. Cause I was leaning like a 7 out of 10. So it's like 2 hours and 14 minutes. So it's an adventure horror movie. Yeah, I would say yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. I thought it was okay. Our next review, we're gonna do 4 movie reviews for our King Kong marathon. So the next one is going to be Godzilla versus King Kong original. All right, guys, peace.